Hello and welcome to another Captain's Table podcast. My name is Paul, Berserker01, Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender at the Astropub, your professor on the Astro Historian, and your facilitator, your moderator here at the Captain's Table podcast. This is a Star Citizen podcast where I bring people from all over the Star Citizen community to talk about the game, news, lore, theory crafting, and more. Today we've got a interesting episode talking about the sales of Star Citizen and are they FOMO? Do they work? And are there possible alternatives to CIG's funding? With that being said, let's get started by introducing the cast here today. We've got Mr. Fist Two-Faced Fist. Who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen? And where can they find you?
Hey, how are you, everybody out there? I am Fist to Face, one half of New Soul. New Soul basically is a father and son duo who makes music based around Star Citizen
And for
and
those,
getting into cinematics as well.
For those who don't know, if you follow my complete history of the Star Citizen universe or the complete history of Star Citizen lore series, New Soul is the one who does all of the music for that. So if you've listened to that and enjoyed the music, go check them out. It's New Soul on YouTube, New Soul Star Citizen.
New Soul on YouTube. You can also find us. We did the sound effects for. Big shout out to Maiden Ariana for her. I hope I don't butcher the name. Please don't kill me. Star Citizen. I think that's what it's called. It's a game that she has on, and a couple of content creators have it on their streams as well, where you see the ship flying and by, and you can haul and stuff like that. We did all of the sound effects for that as well.
Awesome. And then we've got Mr. Griffin. Who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen, and where can they find you?
Hi, I'm Griffin Gaming RPG. Always happy and excited to be back with you and the other folks that are in this room that I know very well. I'm one of the producers of the Soul Citizens. We're a community content creation, a community content show for both Star Citizen and Squadron 42. We stream on Sundays and Thursdays, and again, just happy to be here sharing with you guys.
Awesome. I'm turning you up a little bit. People are saying you're a little quiet. But
I'm a little soft. Hang on. How about that? Better.
Ooh, yeah.
There we go.
One of my presets changed, so it.
Now he went down.
Now he went down. Now
he went down again.
It just changed on its own.
Yeah, he went up and down. Like, is there a
do you have a
gate or anything?
Oh, what is it called? There's a thing.
No. I'm using a Stream Deck, and I turned it down again.
Yeah, you just muted
it down.
Okay, you know what? It's limiting. So something is ducking him.
Yeah, you're being ducked.
It's probably Discord.
It's either Discord or Discord has an automatic.
But it's not Discord. Oh, is that okay? Okay. Yes. Let me go.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll fix it.
That didn't sound like Discord.
I'll fix it.
Okay. Now you sound pretty good, but we'll walk through it. And then last but not least, we have Black Jurassic himself, the Neelix of Star Citizen, Mr. Fastcart. Who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen? Where can they find you?
And greetings, everyone. I'm Fastcart FC, and I'm happy Black History Month. I just wanted to say welcome to our radio reenactment of Django Unchained. Griffin Gaming will perform the role of Django. I'll be performing the role of Kerry Washington's character. Victor Face will play Samuel L. Jackson's character, and Paul, of course, will be playing DiCaprio's character. I'm happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to reading the comments after we're done. Plus, I'm a producer for Soul Citizens.
Wait a minute, hold on for a second. Wait. Why am I playing Samuel L. Jackson?
I knew it.
Well, now
you got me hot. You got me hot. You got me hot now. I'm for real. I'm like,
yourself, Paul.
Every year, it's down again. By the way, Griffin. Check this. It could be Windows. It's either got what is it called? Attenuation. It could be.
It was fine until he switched something. Just until at the start of the show.
Yeah. That's better than my joke. But so the joke. I said it before the show. I'm not going to say it again.
Hey, I was proud of you too. I said I was proud of you. But you could see my expression on my face. I had something.
I'm still trying to. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm still trying to.
So this is there's a history here because Fastcart always bothered me. He's like, it's Black History Month. I want to come on for Black History Month and talk. And for years, I would remember that Fastcart wanted to come on. And the way I would schedule it is, it just so happens that Fastcart wouldn't come on until the first weekend of March. Literally the first weekend of March. And then he'd give me shit about it.
For like
4 years. Yeah, like it wasn't until last year that I remembered to do it and brought him on and was like, oh yeah, we should probably do that. Yeah.
Oh, we got Scott Raiders. Hey,
Yes.
welcome, Raiders.
Welcome from Space Beta Stream.
Yeah, welcome, Raiders.
Now we can hear you great.
Yeah,
you
Yeah.
don't.
Okay.
I still got to police it though.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, and for all of you who are watching this after the fact, make sure you check us out. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the Captain's Table podcast. We reached a fantastic milestone on the new YouTube channel. We now have 500 subscribers on that YouTube. The goal is to get 1,000. So for those of you who've been watching us there, thank you. If you haven't, should be in the description below right now of the actual live, should be that link. Once we reach 1,000, yes.
I'm sorry. But how many subscribers do you need before you get that YouTube plaque?
10,000 or 100,000? 100,000. 100,000.
100,000. Oh, okay, never mind. Sorry, go ahead.
The reason why you need 1,000 is, as I like to say, you need 1,000 subscribers before YouTube pretends you exist and actually promotes you to people. Because before they can put monetization on you, they basically just, it's a dice roll if they'll actually promote you at all. So, we usually don't have any problem with like people watching. People enjoy watching this for a long time. So thank you for those of you who have done it. But when we do live streams in the future, it will be broadcasted live on that channel as well. But that'll be where the episodes go up. It'll also be where each individual section, the discussion sections and the After Dark sections go up as well. So please check that out if you haven't already done so. And for those of you check us out on Spotify. We have we will upload all these on Spotify, not just Spotify, but it goes up to Spotify, Apple Podcasts. I think it's even like Google Podcasts. All of the places sort of cross-listed on a bunch of different places. So check us out there as well if you get a chance to. Especially if you want to listen on the go and it's a little bit less bit heavy there. So yeah, thank you for that. So and let's get into the discussion right now. Starting off with the main discussion, which is does Star Citizen participate in FOMO sales? And for those of you who don't know, and I'll define FOMO. In fact, I will pull up a official definition of FOMO.
Official? But it's in, what dictionary is it in?
That's what I'm trying to find out the dictionary for it.
I was expecting Urban Dictionary, but not like Merriam-Webster or anything.
I'm not seeing up there. It's interesting. So what I'm finding from different sources like Forbes and a couple other kind of random sites, but what they say specifically is it stands for fear of missing out and is a marketing technique that uses scarcity to encourage customers to make purchases. FOMO marketing can be used in many ways, including email marketing, social media, and on websites. And how does it work? It gives limited time offers to create a sense of urgency. It has countdown timers to see how much time there's left. Social proof, so to show how many people have viewed the product and currently paying it. Time-sensitive bonuses, offering freebies instead of discounts, and case studies. So the idea is to play on psychological desire to avoid missing out on something good and to motivate people to take action when they wouldn't otherwise. So the question is, does CIG participate in FOMO sales? Because that has been something that people will argue that CIG does regularly. Do they intentionally do artificial scarcity? Do they in an attempt to push sales more frequently? Fastcard, I'll start with you.
It feels like they do.
Okay.
It feels like they do. But over the years, when they first started, the history, obviously, they had to kickstart in 2012.
Mhm.
And then they have the holiday sales at the end of every year, particularly around CitizenCon. Most of the time in November, they call it the holiday sales back then. Well, too. Then they expanded the IAE. Well, before they call it IAE, November sales, and then they had it in both November and December, as well as something for CitizenCon typically, or that the month of October. Then they branched out and fast forward to 2020 was the first year they had Invictus. That's when they really started making money. That's
Mhm.
when the project really ballooned, crowdfunding really ballooned for them again. They, twice as much money in some cases. So yeah, I mean, it feels like every month they have a different sale. Like they have Alien Week, they have Invictus, they have the Valentine's Day one.
Cormore.
I almost had Corma, thank you. So every month, um, April, I can't think of what they have in April, but in March they have the Stella Fortuna. April, they typically have something for April, but I forget what it is.
Probably it
Uh,
would likely be something to do with like the like an event, because they also have sales listed to events with things like Siege of Orison and such like that. So um,
May, I can't think of what they have. July, I can't think of what they have. August they have GameCon, something
well,
around there.
May is Invictus,
May's Invictus, right.
and
Um,
is June is Alien Week.
I
July
mean, no, yeah, the beginning of
is
June, right, yeah.
Founders Foundation Festival is July.
Founders, thank you.
You know,
Then
Aug-
October they have
yeah.
CitizenCon and Day of the Valor.
November is IAE,
I
and December is Luminalia.
holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luminary, you're right. So it feels like it feels like they're adding more sales to the calendar every year, but I think they petered out. But as far as FOMO, yeah, it feels like it. But I'm on the fence. To me, I'm still leaning towards no, but just barely.
So you're saying like it technically might hit that definition, but in practice it doesn't necessarily work the same way.
Right. And I
Okay.
also want to say that Oxford, Cambridge, and Merriam all have the definition for FOMO.
Oh, they do. Awesome. Yeah, I couldn't
Yeah, they
find
do.
that. So, um, Griffin, same question to you. Based off of what we know about FOMO, does CIG participate in FOMO sales?
I think people feel that they do. I think it's a fast car's point. I feel like it. I don't know what
You're
guys.
breaking up a little bit there.
Yeah, go to Fist. So
Okay. Fist, your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts is I'm going to say yes. Okay.
Okay.
Because when you look at marketing, right, and I'm not a marketing person, but when you look at the practices of marketing, marketing lives off of FOMO. So when you have a limited supply of something and that's advertised, right? IAE comes around, Pioneers will go up for sale, Idrises go up for sale. They're limited, right? So people feel like, well, man, okay, if something is limited, then I need to be able to go in and, do whatever I need to do to get this item. So for me, I think that hits the mark as far as FOMO. Now, you don't need to sit there and actually say limited, sale, go, go, go. These things are going to go run out soon. You don't
Mhm.
need to say that for it to be it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think when we look at the definition of it, yes, it is FOMO, because marketing does play on that.
Okay. Griffin, how's the audio? Oh, I can't hear you at all now. You're still muted. You might need to restart Discord, maybe,
Mm.
or the computer. Yeah, because I'll go on
You're not
mine.
hearing me.
We could just hear you for the moment. What was that?
I'm going to restart.
Okay.
Okay.
But in my question, yeah, I'm still here.
Why don't we come back when you say answer the question? Come back because you're breaking up a little bit there too. as somebody who has participated in marketing, who's worked in the marketing industry, I struggle. I've heard that the problem about FOMO is that it gets thrown around a lot because as a bad marketing practice, and in my experience, it is. It doesn't really work very well. It can work for like fly by night companies or companies that really sort of focus on like immediate sales, so they can boost their reputation up higher. But it doesn't really function in my experience well as like a long term sales gimmick. And the one thing that makes me a little bit more wary about calling it FOMO, calling what CIG does FOMO, is that it implies that there's no way of acquiring this. Like the CIG is constantly saying the only chance to get this, the only blah blah blah, that sort of thing. Where CIG doesn't actively seek to do that. There is tactics that people have been pointing out in chat already. It's like the limited hull series of like limited holes of ships and stuff like that, which is true. But an example of a limited hull series of ships is the 890, and the 890 is also available in game. So it's one of those sort of like, yeah, they even limited whole series holes of ships, like limited versions of ships, but you can still purchase in game. And I still don't like that idea for some ships, especially limited ships, which don't make a lot of sense to be limited.
For me,
Yeah.
For me, it's difficult to say it's FOMO because you can get everything in game.
Yes. That's
True.
my perspective, is that a lot of the stuff you can just get in game. So it's like,
So that pulls it back from FOMO for me personally.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I agree with what you're saying on FC and Paul. And I think FOMO gets a bad rap because it feels like it's a predatory practice.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, though, what I meant and what I'm saying is that, because you don't have, the infomercial style type of advertisement that CIG doesn't do that, obviously. But unfortunately, when I think about marketing, it is a byproduct that there is FOMO in something. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily mean that they are intentionally doing something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, where unfortunately there is FOMO in it.
Mhm. No, I agree. I think what you're saying is that FOMO is there, but it's not like CIG is sitting there cackling behind the screen and be like, how can we manipulate the psychology of people to make
Right,
as much money
exactly.
as
I mean,
possible?
I mean, marketing, yes, but not the rest of the rest of the developers.
So in general, like there are things that they could improve, I think, in sales, and we'll talk about that here in a moment. But the next question would be, is FOMO driving CIG's sales pitch? Is CIG using FOMO as their main goal to try to drive more sales in the short term? Are they using FOMO to make more money? Fist?
ooh, I mean, okay. Okay, let's that's a tough one. Are they using FOMO to say? I'm gonna say yes and no.
Okay.
Because again, we can get everything in the game, right?
Mhm.
Essentially, that is their slogan. You can essentially earn to get everything that we are advertising on the store in the game. Obviously, it's just a matter of work. But so when I say yes, because I'm saying, man, okay, when we see the shiny thing as a kid,
Yeah.
right? When you saw the toy on the screen, that triggers something. So marketing studies this.
Yeah.
And that's why I say there is a byproduct. So I'm saying, like, okay, marketing, they study human nature. They study the psychology of people. So they not just sitting back and saying, okay, let me just put this out there and see if it sells. No, they sit down and look at, okay, how does this color work? How does that look to people? They study all of that of human nature. So I believe yes and no. And I'm
Yeah.
gonna keep it there. So
Okay.
I don't want to, talk too much, but go ahead.
Yeah. Fast forward. Is FOMO
Face-to-face,
driving the sales? You know.
Okay, film driving itself. Face-to-face made an interesting point. It said, as a kid, I mean, when I see something on the screen, it still happened for me. So and I'm in my 50s, so you don't have to be a kid for for that stuff to happen.
Just gotta be a kid at heart.
But to your point,
Yeah.
to your point, it depends on the sale for me. Like for example, the FAC Lightning, yeah, it felt like the marketing was driving that one. But for a typical concept sale, it depends again. Like, okay, there was this one time, it was purely by accident. Not by accident, but he didn't mean it the way it came out. When the Odyssey went on sale, the developer said it was a carrot killer.
Yeah.
Now, he was excited for the ship.
Yeah.
He didn't,
Well,
but you got to be careful how you say stuff, especially in the community, because we tend to think they literally, but they just meant for him, that developer, that was
Yes.
he considered the Odyssey to be a character. Now, whether that triggered it triggered want people to buy the Odyssey because it's gonna be better than a character. If you didn't do your research, you just listen to the hype, maybe. So I want to say it depends on the concept sale and what's going on at the time.
Okay. Griffin, how's your audio? I still can't hear you.
Yeah, we can't hear him. No.
It's like you're muted. You're not even coming through Discord when you're talking.
You're not even coming through. I can't even tell if
your light's not even turning on. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could it be your mic is messed up?
Ooh.
Maybe it's the connection.
And it was fine.
It was literally right. It's not a captain's table without something like this happens.
Touch one thing, and it went away.
Yeah. So can I ask you a question, Paul, while Griffin's
Sure.
doing that real quick? Okay. Fastcart made a point though, because he said, okay, and I forgot about this. War is business.
Yeah.
Right. So competition making right. So when you think about when that statement, I forget who you said that it was, Fastcart, about the Odyssey being a carrot killer, that creates fanboyism.
Yeah.
So from you and your experience of marketing, that does create FOMO.
It can.
It's a byproduct. It can, right? Okay.
One of the things that's important to understand about FOMO is that FOMO is often used as a catchphrase. It's a big sort of hot thing that people use, and typically when we're talking about FOMO, we're talking about things like the marketing emphasizes the one of a kind, unique aspect, never again, only this. And typically when you look at FOMO in terms of like how it functions with most businesses or people who like participate in FOMO, like using an old example, Supreme is a like king of FOMO, where they would like put something on their thing, they'd only have a limited quantity and sell it. But FOMO is used in all sales. All sales are FOMO. Everything is FOMO in that sense. It's got a conversation that brought up another thing. Lunch specials are FOMO. Why? Because they want people to come in to get a discount on a food that they might want.
Buy it at that price.
So they come in and buy that price.
My Chinese store does that.
Yeah. Costco does something very similar, where Costco has $1.50 hot dog and sodas. They lose money on that deal, but they get you through the door. They can get you through the door. They can sell you. And usually it's a discount, or sometimes it's a specific like free. You get something for free when you do something like that. So it's a sales. It's a technique that exists beyond just what we think of. So for me, I don't think CIG's marketing strategy is built off of FOMO in the sense that people think it is. Mostly because there's just not enough noise that CIG makes about the limited nature of stuff. And as Fastcart was pointing out, they have a freaking sale every month. So it's hard to say that you're missing out when you can just wait a month and it comes back.
Okay, but what about land claims though?
Land claims, I think, was just a mistake on their part, and that's not to say that
Really?
CIG doesn't.
Oh,
It's coming
okay.
back though. I think
Are they
it's
It
gonna
is?
come back.
are they
Okay.
selling it
It's gonna
now?
come back.
Because I thought
No,
they,
no. I think no, they haven't sold it.
Yeah.
No, I think B Fast Card said I think it's going to come back someday. Not in I don't know when, but
Yeah.
they make too much. They can make too much money off of it for them to
Yes.
not sell it again. Yeah.
That's why I told you, Fast Car. I said when you asked me the question about how much CIG was going to make this year, I said they would make 210 million
if they sold land again.
if they sold
Land
land.
claim.
Yeah.
If they sold land
Yeah.
claims,
Yeah.
they would have made. Yeah.
And I think CIG is
So,
very aware of stuff like that these days, because not only did CIG doesn't exist in a bubble, there are other, they look at the industry as a whole, and there's plenty of video game companies. Actually, it's almost standard practice now for video game companies to participate in FOMO through special editions. So like special editions aren't
yeah.
just like a FOMO practice, but now they give you the streamer access. You buy it, you get a week or two free, or a week or two ahead of everybody else, so that you get
Oh yeah.
you know,
Early head start.
early head
Yeah.
starts and stuff like that. And
Oh.
go ahead.
So I sincerely hope I do not trigger anyone when I say this part. And if I do, it's not a purpose, and I apologize in advance. But a negative for CIG is when they nerf a ship and they start selling another ship to fill the role of what's been nerfed.
Mm.
'Cause that to me, I think that could be classified as FOMO.
Yes, I also don't think CIG was intentionally doing those sorts of things. I think what
It feels
happens,
like
it does, and perception is reality. It's something I've been
Right.
kind of saying for the last couple of months now, is that what CIG needs to understand is that perception is reality. It doesn't matter what CIG intends; it matters what people think is happening. So,
Well, you know what? That's good. I'm sorry, Paul.
so like, and someone's already brought up like Hanlon's razor, which is an important one to understand, which is never a tribute to malice, which can be attributed to incompetence. And I'm not saying CIG is incompetent. I'm just saying that CIG makes a lot of incompetent decisions at times. So
Okay.
go ahead.
Mm. So I was going to say this. I played DC Universe for
Yeah.
about 10 years. Now, for me, from what I can see about, from because the time when I was playing back when they were Sony Online, took a break, then they came back, they were Daybreak.
Yeah.
I know that I'm probably say 90% in my opinion,
Mhm.
that they were practicing what they call flavor of the month.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
so I think that's where that fits in, where you have a ship that technically is your feared ship in the game, your meta, whatever you want to call it, and then the new ship comes in. That then becomes that older ship now becomes, still usable,
Mhm.
but the new shiny, because you want to push people to that. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. And I guess there's a question to say, well, is there I'm not saying a nefariousness to it, right? But is
there malice? Are they doing it intentionally?
it's like, okay, yeah, go ahead.
I mean, for me, it's like I don't really say I want to say it's malice, but it is marketing. They want to sell ship. They want to make money and make more money. But is it bad or just capitalism?
I
How
think,
do you?
well, that comes down to the question is, do you believe that marketing is making these changes, or do you believe the ship team is making these changes? And I don't believe that marketing is making these changes. I think ship team is making these changes. And the ship team could be making the changes because they want to sell more. But in my opinion, I think more the cases, if we're looking at things like the Redeemer versus the Paladin, with that whole controversy, the Paladin isn't even out yet. So yeah, they nerfed the Redeemer, but the Paladin wasn't released.
And of course, yeah.
And the Corsair. But the Paladin wasn't released. Like, it would be one thing if like they did that and then they released the Paladin as like too flyable. Then even then it would be you could see it as like they're trying to balance the roles of each of these ships against each other, because there's going to be nerfs and there's going to be buffs throughout the entirety of the game, because that's how online games work. And balance is, I think, who said that? one of the developers, can't remember who it was, said that like balance is vibes based. Vibes based balance
Mm,
makes more sense than anything else because you can't go off of stats because you can have hard stats and make it make sense, but then the feeling doesn't feel the right, even though it is because of many different reasons. Um,
okay.
and so like there is going to be balance. Famously, Riot does this with their balancing, where Riot will have one or two heroes in League of Legends who are just face moppingly good. You mentioned DCS flavor of the month. There's something that's just absolutely amazing to use, and then a month later they
Right.
change it.
Exactly. I mean, they would do that so much because where DC Universe would do, like, for example, one season or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
um, like Ice Tank, Ice Powers would be your most damaging power in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody would flock to it. Everybody would go in there and buy, I forget what the coins were that they used. We would go buy station cash. That
Yeah.
was it. Station cash. We'd all go buy station cash, and it'll be $10 to change a power set. And basically they would make a little, do whatever it was in their coding, and now this power is this. And if there's a new power that came out, then now that power became the flavor you know, and it would basically just rotate. And I started to realize this after a while. I'm like, wait a second, this is yeah, this is predatory
It
because
can
I'm
be
like, I'm spending a lot of money, and I'm like everybody because in DC Universe, and I'm gonna say this, the culture is it
power.
was very it was very DPS. Like
Mm-hmm.
everybody would go into a certain like a dungeon, and everybody wanted to show off how well they could DPS. It basically was excuse my like a penis size
Mm-hmm.
contest,
Yeah.
in that game, and and that's what it became. So when you have that type of an environment, then marketing plays off of that. They're like, oh, okay, cool. Oh, that's what y'all want.
So,
So guess what? We'll make this power one day, and I was like, oh wow, I
I have a
see what's
question
going
for
on
Face to
here.
Face.
Yeah, go ahead,
How
whatever.
long?
No.
Anyway,
No.
so I have a separate question. So, me personally, when I buy a ship, I buy it for the role. I don't buy it for the meta.
Yeah.
Because I do have an F8 Lightning, but evidently the one of the new ships that came along after F8 Lightning it's more DPS. But I like the F8 Lightning because it's spray and pray. That's my game style. And other ships, I mean, that's real to the market tier. So although I didn't get the BMM 8 years ago or whatever, because it was going to be a capture. We didn't know it was going to be a capture back then.
Mm-hmm.
But so I buy ship for the role. But I know people who are into PvP or compact, they want to buy the ship for the meta. So maybe whether or not the game is FOMO can depend on what you want to do in the game and how you want to play the game.
Mm. So Fastcar says he just sprays and parries. So
Well,
you just shooting up the club and not hitting anything.
well, that's
Hit
the
something eventually.
that's the
Ooh.
that's the other thing. That's the other question though, because this kind of leads into the another question, and I'll start with you on this one, Fist. Do
Okay.
players respond? Are we seeing CIG specifically making ships for players to purchase? Like you said, that sort of DC universe situation where you go buy the ship and you buy the ship and you're the best at you make you the best at the game no matter what. Do players respond to that? Are we seeing that trend where CIG releases a ship that's better than everything else, they get everyone to purchase it, and then once everyone's purchased it, they nerf it, and then they make another ship that's better than everybody else? Is that what people are moving towards, or is there another way that you see people purchasing ships?
I want to say this though. Human nature is, I'm going to say, I don't know what's obviously in
Mm-hmm.
everybody's mind or head, but human nature gravitates towards wanting to be the best, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, and I hope people, and this is one of the things I'm going to say this, that I hope people purchase a ship based upon what it is that they need in the game, what it is they're looking to play in the game, and to understand what the ship is directed at. You know what I'm saying? Because right now, all of the mechanics in the game are not there yet. We don't even have armor
Yeah.
yet. So we have no idea how long of a fight or how well the Ares is going to do. Because I remember when the Inferno came out, man, and
Mm-hmm.
the
Now you're gonna
what you
trigger
call it?
me.
No, because
Ion.
I had one too.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Remember,
Ion
I
and
bought one.
Inferno.
Me and
Yeah.
Pops bought one. Me and my dad bought one. So I had one too. We both had one. And the thing is, though, yeah, I mean, it was what, a size 7 they said it was supposed to be on
Size
there
7.
for
Size.
the
Yeah.
a size 7. Now, if an arrow gets in front of it, because I remember they were saying like arrows or little smaller ships get in front of it, they would get one shot, right?
Mhm.
Right.
Technically, I felt like, you know what? That was accurate. If an arrow gets in front of basically a big ass cannon, your ass is gone. That's what it should be.
Mhm.
So, but because technically an arrow should never be in front of an Ares ion or an Inferno. So I kind of felt like when they nerfed it, I was like, man. And this is where I'm going to kind of go off the topic a little bit, but this is where I kind of felt like, and I'm be short with it, that I felt like CIG. I hope y'all not listening to that to that crowd that's saying, you know, that vocal minority saying this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing is too overpowered. No, that thing is supposed to do what exactly we're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I kind of felt like, man, for them to take it away, now you kind of created a situation where it was like, oh man,
But
was it FOMO?
do you believe the intention was that CIG made it super overpowered intentionally, just so they could sell it and then nerfed it?
Because, well, I don't think that they did that. See, for me, in my opinion, I don't think that they did that.
Mhm.
I just think that it became, unfortunately, a byproduct of
Doesn't
it.
matter.
Fast card?
Became the
You know what I'm saying?
go-to ship.
Yeah.
Like the because again, you got to go back to the psychology of it. Like, how does a person gonna feel when something is okay? When you give somebody something that's great, right? And technically, I felt like that's what it was supposed to be intended to do. Its name is what? A cap killer,
Mhm.
or that's what people specified it as. Right now, what does that really mean in terms of CIG? What do they say what a cap killer versus what my mind says what a cap killer says? Because my mind can say, hey, a cap killer means, hey, I'm coming in and hitting this Idris so hard that it makes it say, oh my God, you know. I was gonna go into an MC Hammer song, but anyway, I stopped. But
Hammer don't hurt him.
yeah. So,
Mm.
but that's what I kind of felt like. You know, do we know what CIG is saying as far as what something that's their category is, and do we how are we interpreting it? And I think that's a mixed message that where sometimes that gets lost in the shuffle between
And
us and the communication with CIG.
can someone remind me, was the CIG, was the Ares ship always concepted as being capital ship killers?
Yeah, that was its
Without,
main
Yeah,
focus was always that.
okay,
yeah.
so I can see like if something if you have a light fighter that flies in front of the an Ares and you get blown up, I can see that. But if you're flying an Ares and you're trying to chase down or fire upon a light fighter that not you have to put turn and aim. I think the light fighters should be able to escape or avoid you, unless they're they're a crappy pilot or you are a good pilot. But like I said, it's supposed to be a capital ship killer, and back then when we first got it, we didn't have that many capital ships that in game that we could prey upon. So I could see why they nerfed it. But over the years, they nerfed it and then buffed it and nerfed it and buffed it. I think right now it's experiencing a buff because that was in the last patch note. I don't know how good it is now. I I, I do have an eye on because it's one of my favorite ships. But I got it because of the role and the style of the ship. Like whether or not it's like been nerfed to hell, I probably would still keep it. But what was the original question, Paul?
The
Sorry.
question was, do you think CIG's using is actually using FOMO to drive their sales? Are they doing things like intentionally nerfing ships so that they can sell more of them, or intentionally buffing new ships so they can sell more of them and then nerfing them later?
And see, for me personally, it depends on the day that you ask me, or it depends on what's going on that specific week, or what's in the patch note that they change. Because I mean, the game isn't out yet. It's not 1.0. They're still balancing, and the game may never be balanced because this is an MMO. So they'll continually add new ships, and when they add new ships, they have to rebalance everything, or not everything, but particular things in order to fit that new ship in whatever role it has. So it feels like it's yes. Sometimes I have to admit, but whether it's intentional, who knows? I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's tough.
I will
Yeah.
always refer back to Hanlon's Razor. I don't think CIG
Yeah.
is devious enough to know these things. This is the same company that said that they were going to release 4.0 in the summer, and everyone said, "No, you're not," and then they didn't release it in the summer. It's like
This
Like,
is the same
I didn't
company
think it
who
was
took
good. I
a
didn't-
year to release 3.0.
yeah, like we're talking about you. CIG can't both be a mastermind at everything and also be completely incompetent. Like that's not how that world works. I don't believe that CIG is using FOMO to drive sales because I don't think I think CIG is simply throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what works, and then when it works, they just stick to it. I don't think there's some grand master plan about psychological manipulation. I think they're like, well, I have no idea how to sell this. We have no idea. We've never done this. No one's ever done this. So we'll just do this sort of thing. And I think they've just accidentally into FOMO at times.
The one thing I will say, the new salvager, the Misfortune, the interior of it is nice and shiny, especially when compared to the Prospector, even though it's similar to the Prospector, but the new Fortune has amenities that the Prospector doesn't have. So is that FOMO, or is that just an improvement to the ship design because they had more experience that they got from the Prospector and applied it to the Fortune?
Yeah.
Ooh, you know what though? Because here's the thing. When you think about it, I think to what you're saying, maybe if I'm and hopefully I'm thinking about what you're saying about the new ship design between the Prospector, no, the new some of the new
The
Salvager from
Fortune
my
and
Mist,
Prospector,
right?
yeah.
Fortune, right? So because I was thinking about it, like, well, when you look at the Misk one, the Misk has a bit of an advantage in it, you know, I guess you can call it self-propagating its boxes, right? On the ship versus your Vulture, you know, where technically I guess you could say the Vulture would be if you really wanted to have optimization in your ship when it pops out the box. I don't know the Vulture, does it propagate the boxes on its grid, or does it like just spits it out and it's there? You know.
He's back.
He's back. No.
No, you're
I'm,
not.
I'm too scared to see if it's working. Are you hearing me now?
It's
Yes,
working.
we are.
Beautiful.
Yes.
All right. We'll ask you the questions there, Griff. So
No, you got to go back to the beginning of the show.
that's
You
why I'm
gotta
going to go back to the very beginning of the show and ask him this. He's been listening to our conversations. So the first question is, do you think that CIG is participating in FOMO? Do you think?
There are times when I feel that marketing always has some element of making people desire and want something. That's just an automatic. That's the whole point of advertising, right? It's to convince you that this is something that you will make your life better or you need it, even if you don't, right? And so that basic premise of advertising is there. I think that people want to use FOMO, or they use the term FOMO because it's a way of trying to define that in a different way when it's innate in marketing. I'm not sure. I don't run commercials for something just for you to look at it and say, I don't need that. You run it because you want people to think, hey, is this something I need? I know you touched on this a little bit earlier. Part of this is the history of how this got started. In the very beginning, we didn't have other options. All you could do if you wanted something was basically you had to pay for it. There were no ship rentals. There was no in-game currency to use.
Mm.
If you saw a certain ship and you liked it, this is even before there was an Invictus and a free flies. If you wanted it, if you got on your friends or you had to buy it. And so I think in the beginning, if you saw something you liked, uh, even without a commercial, commercials were great, but once you got on it, you said, I want this thing. But I also think that our purchasing is based upon the desire of wanting to see the game move forward and be accomplished.
Mhm.
Even if we know that those features aren't in there, that purchasing is something that satisfies something inside of us that makes us feel like it's progressing. Even if we know that the features aren't in the ship. A lot of us remember back in the day when ships were hangar ready only. They weren't flight ready. Why were we buying ships that couldn't even leave the hangar? It was because it was what we believed in what was going to happen in the future. So does CIG use that to their advantage? I don't know if it's something that's maliciously done or just something that just comes with the whole process of trying to raise money. And I think it's our way of coping with it when we say FOMO. I think just with advertising in general, the whole purpose of advertising something is to get you to buy it. And that's basically what it comes down to. Um, Saying FOMO just kind of makes it feel like maybe I'm not as responsible as I am. But I don't know. Maybe people don't feel that way. But I think there's an element of it that's there.
Okay. Do you think it's driving CIG's sales though? Do you think that's is CIG using intentionally focusing on FOMO to sell more ships?
Well, in the earlier days, things were phrased. There were times when CIG would imply or even say that something wouldn't be available after it came out and was sold. There might have been a certain ship that came out and said, this is the only time you're going to get it. The F8 is an example of a little bit of confusion there in communication of, the F8 being provided after Squadron 42. But we just recently talked about maybe they are still sticking to that word, because when we saw the Squadron 42 video, we saw that there's a new version of the F8 that we don't have. And maybe that's the F8 that you're going to get, right? I mean, there's a whole lot of things that, have gotten in their communication either led us to believe or we've made ourselves believe that, we got to get this thing. But again, advertising, those commercials are so slick. I don't know how many times people said, I'm not spending any more money. And man, that slick commercial comes out and your wallet's twitching, man. It's ready to freaking jump. Credit cards are in your wallet doing this, because you're thinking about it. But their advertising is done very well, regardless of how people feel about it. I know people get into the whole ethical side of it, but that's it.
Yeah.
Correct. All right, let's move on to the alternatives, because some people think this is immoral, it's unethical. So if CIG were to change this entirely, what would the other options be to keep Star Citizen funded at the same rate it is, while also doing a different model? What would a model that would function for it? Fist, you said you before the show we were talking a little bit about it, and you said you had an idea. I'll go with Fist, then Griff, then Fastcart.
What model would it be?
Funding model. How would they do it if they
Funding
couldn't
model?
sell ships, that sort of stuff?
Sell land claims.
Sell land claims?
I'm being real. No, because
Real
you
estate.
think about it.
But how is
Really,
that different from
really,
ships?
when you think
That's
about
not
it,
a different model, though.
well, you're selling a different product in a sense. I mean, because if you're not selling ships, you got to sell something, right? So, it's a space game. It's in a digital realm,
Mhm.
right? The game, I would assume, if I'm looking at Star Citizen, and if, let's say, hypothetically, all of the systems on the back end works perfect, right? Stability, 100% top notch. The game has unlimited expansion. Space is what? Huge. How many planets can they make?
Mhm.
As many as they want to.
No,
So
100. They got to stop at 100.
they
That's
can
what
make
they
as
said.
many as they want. So, I mean, if you think about how big, what's the biggest planet that we have in a game right now that we can, go on to, that we can actually walk onto? Moon
Probably
or whatever.
it's probably Hurston
Not Stanton.
or
It's either Terminus or
could be Terminus. Yeah.
Crusader. I don't know. They're
We got
big.
Okay, so something. Let me clarify my statement. One more question: what planet can we actually walk on?
Okay, so
That's the
okay.
biggest that we can walk
Microtech,
on.
Not
probably.
Crusader, yeah.
Either
Microtech.
maybe Terminus, one of the two. Yeah.
It's huge.
Mhm.
It's huge. I mean, an 8x8 land claim. I mean, that's nothing compared to that planet. So you got to probably figure if they have everything, like I said again, if all the back end and everything was great and working stability, they can create as many universes as they want to and as many planets as they want to. And that's why I say land claims would be the business model at that point after ships.
Yeah. Jen putting something out, and that is something I've heard before. It's like Hurston is the size of the continental United States and India combined. So,
Wow.
like, that shows you kind of the size of it. So,
That's huge.
yeah.
That's-
The moons themselves are the size of India.
Mm.
Like, if you took the land mass of India and put it in and wrapped
Right.
it around a ball, it would be the size of the moons, typically. Yeah, Ariel's the size of France, the entire country of France. So, Griffin,
I'm not saying that they're wrong, but where do people get this information? I don't remember hearing that
because
on
you can figure
IRC
out
or
the
anything.
you can measure the distances,
Okay.
and then once you've measured the distances in a certain way, you can actually just add the full length and width, and then
Okay.
figure out the whole
Extrapolate.
the surface area. Extrapolate. It's been a couple of them because I think there is a way you can in the files as well figure out what the size of the map is. So, all right, Griffin. What's an alternative method that CIG could use from ship sales, or is this it? Is this the best option they have?
No, to your point, we've always been speculating on what will be the end result when it comes to it. Some people feel that CIG will always quote unquote sell ships.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the ideal model, this would be my suggestion for an ideal model. The ideal model will be that once we're at launch, like full 1.0 or whatever, that at that point, the only time they will always sell starter packages. That would be something that's always available, so people have an entry point into the game. The next level would be selling what we would consider as being concept sales. So when a concept sale comes out, it's available to people who want to buy it at that point. And the concept sale lasts for a certain period of time. And then once that ship goes into the game, it is only a purchase. You can only acquire it by gameplay. That's it. Because that would always create a little bit of hype. Because if it's concept sale, they kind of know that if I don't get it now, I've got to work for it later. It gives people that option because some people don't want to do the grinding, and they're willing. That would be a way of continuing to fund. But then there'll be other people who will say, I'll just work for it in game, and I know that's where I'm going to get it. After that, all the other little incidentals like the virtual items and cosmetics and things like that, to me, will be it. And of course, with the launch of Squadron 42, praying that it is reasonably successful, if not very successful, there's a tremendous amount of revenue that comes in that way too.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I'm not down for is a subscription model. I know that CIG has talked about in the past. I've been through Eve and a lot of other games where I have done subscription models, but I think that they could generate the funding without having to go to a subscription model, personally. So.
Okay. Fast cut.
One thing they could do is 1.0 will be quote unquote free. You just got to get the game package in your end. Maybe for 2.0, 3.0, and 4.0, after the game launches, they could do expansion packs that may make some money, but I don't think it will make as much money. But I do have some alternatives that are not ideal. They could go the Star Atlas route and just convert everything to NFTs and make everything an asset and do that. Because I don't know how much money Star Atlas is rolling in these days, but they're selling ships for like $5 million, and people complain when CIG sells stuff for $3,000. So that's one alternative. A second alternative, my last one, is they could go gacha like mobile game. You typically pull an Aurora, you typically pull a Mustang, but you have a small chance of pulling like a BMM or an 890 or even an Idris, and you got to get them all. And they would make Genshin Impact money if they did that.
Fast Card is just let the record say Fast Card is for gambling and would love to see gambling in Star Citizen. I tend to agree with Griffin. The problem with subscription model, and I know some people say, "Well, just pay a subscription model." There is quite literally no company out there that has a pure subscription model service. They don't exist anymore. The ones that do have subscription models as part of their services can be earned in game because they realized how limiting subscription models are. So there's lots of different ways that they could do this. I don't think CIG will ever get rid of ship sales because they work. But I do think that CIG will benefit if they do things like improve their customization options so that will allow for people to be able to purchase more reasonable skins with colors and those sorts of things. Maybe buying color palettes so you can swap in colors in and out of patterns as part of the skins. Like there's a thing in Destiny, I can't remember. I think maybe not Destiny, where you can like infuse all like you have like different armor sets, but you can like make it either look all the same, like it's part of the same armor set, or like put the same color on it, so that that allows it you to like to like look uniform and you can pay for it. I think the answer is all of the above. Optional subscription models, which they already have with some small perks. Selling single player games like Squadron 42, maybe even expansions down the line with things like alien races coming out for playable. We're talking like well past 1.0 at that point, but I don't see CIG removing from this because it's working. But this is gonna be the last question I ask before we move into the question and answer session because that's the actual title. Go ahead, Fast Card.
I do have something just came to me. They could sell accelerators for when it's time to build ships in space stations, or accelerators for making a station, because we don't know how long that's going to take, but it should take a long time, maybe like a week or maybe a month, depending on what they're building. So they could sell accelerators. Oh my God!
I hate that. I hate that idea.
I don't like it either. That's,
I hate that idea.
No. Because then all you have is somebody who's a whale and just exactly. Now you see Fast Card. You just went right over to the bad side. No, I've seen that.
You're welcome.
I've seen that.
So I'll ask this. This is the final question. It's just sort of going to encapsulate everything we've talked about. Because the main question is, do FOMO sales work in Star Citizen? And I'll start with you, Fast Card, in this one. Do FOMO sales? Do you believe that CIG's the FOMO sales that the CIG does? Because like one of the things I will also say before we do this is I think CIG's tactics could easily be improved. Because I personally hate the fact that you could be really into the game and really enjoying yourself and have the money to buy a Polaris. And then CIG goes, nope, you have to wait 6 months for you to buy a Polaris. But then 6 months, my car breaks down. Kids get sick. I have a chance to go on a vacation, whatever. Now suddenly all that money is spent on other things that I have at the time that I need to use after that fact. But I had the money at the time that I could have used to purchase that. I may not have the time in November when it's holiday season for me to purchase a Polaris for that sort of things. Yeah, a tooth explodes, as Jin points out. So I feel like they're actually leaving money on the table by doing FOMO practices like these sorts of limited sales and other things like that. I think they're actually hurting themselves as a result. They could be making more money if they made it more available rather than limiting it. But so, Fast Card, your thoughts?
So what was the first question before you went on to hit
sorry, the question is, do you think that it actually works? Do you think CIG's FOMO sales work?
Okay, so and then you gave the example of the Polaris.
Yeah.
That's what you.
Or
That's
like
what that
you
ship
can
they.
think of things like the Idris, like the fact that Idris is only available at certain
Okay,
times,
got you.
or like the F8,
The limited hull,
the limited
the
hold stuff.
graphic.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do work because they make a lot of money. I mean, if you go to IAE and track their progress,
Mm.
the evidence is there. They work. They make millions, almost $2 million in one day on one of those ship sales. And so yes, it obviously does work. Is it unfortunate? Depends on who you ask. To your point, if they were to make it sold all the time instead of just making them limited, I don't know. I think they would make more money if it's limited than making it available unlimited.
Okay.
And people say it's there now. You got to pick it up, or you might not get a chance later. So yeah, I think it does work.
Griffin.
I think if we go with Paul's model of sales being available all the time, you will be spending your vacation at a local mall and you'll have a bad toothache and a whole bunch of other stuff later on, but you'll have your ship, right? Um, you know, yeah, I get it. I mean, the comment about, should they just have everything on sale all the time? It really be about the numbers. I really don't know whether they would be more profitable or, things would stay the same. It's very difficult for me to say. There are people who have the resources to buy things in the game. Um, I don't know what the percentages of how many people buy things from FOMO, how many people buy based upon supporting the project. I don't know how many people buy based upon their long-term plan for a fleet. There's so many variables as to why people buy what they do in this game. So does FOMO work for Star Citizen? It does. But I don't think that they drive it. I don't think that the drive is there so much because of fear of missing out. I just think that there's a stimulation that takes place because it's the new kid on the block. Now, sometimes they say, well, there may be some things that drive FOMO in the sense of like when a ship is spec'd out a certain way. If a ship is OP, people perceive that ship as being better than another ship. I think those are the things that drive people way more into spending money because if they find a ship that's just another version of something, like for example, the what's the one that just came out now, the Fortune,
The Fortune. Yeah.
right? I saw the Fortune. I thought it was a nice ship, but I've got a Vulture, and there's nothing about a Volt of the that ship that makes me say it's better or worse than the other. I know that there's one thing when one's got two arms on it and one's got a different way of capacity, but there wasn't anything there that made me feel like I need to go out and buy that ship. But sometimes there's stuff that comes out. When, for example, what was the Guardian that came out? Or no, not the Guardian. What was the one before that? The one with the big controversy with the Redeemer.
The Paladin.
The Paladin. Yeah. When they structure things like that, that's when I feel like it creates a FOMO feeling because people feel like, oh wow, this ship is a meta. Now, when they do stuff like that, that's when I think it's because CIG has told us that they're going to have ships that do the same thing but from different manufacturers, and it's just maybe just an aesthetics reason. Maybe I'm a MISC person. If it's a MISC ship, I want to get it, not because it's better or worse, but it's in the MISC fleet line. So different people have different reasons why they do it, but I think FOMO. Again, I think it's just advertising, and I think we throw FOMO on some stuff that isn't always FOMO, but I think that there are times when there is some elements of missing out. But then again, you can always go in the game and get it and not spend any money. It's not like it was in the old days. So it's a weird thing for me being an old guy who's been around a long time.
I think that's that's another perspective is that like for you and people like you and me and probably for Fastcart and maybe even Fist, like we've been around for so long that a lot of times it's like why would people be interested in the Paladin? It's not even out yet. Like just wait until it comes out, then buy it in game, But
people get up and on too soon. They don't even know because they may change their mind.
It might get nerfed between now and its even release, So
right. And to Griffin's point, maybe it's not that you like Mist, but you hate Drake. Mm-hmm. That's another reason. So yeah.
And I'm not a Drake fan. I would rather actually have that ship over the Drake, but I've got one. It's in my freaking Explorers pack, and it's like, well,
why
that's
change?
it.
And you can't CCU.
Yeah, that's it.
You can CCU. You can CC out of
Yeah, I could, but it's just not. It's just for what it serves in the game. There's not enough there for me to make like I feel like I'm missing out. I don't feel like I'm missing out on something by not getting that ship. You know.
Yeah. Fist. What's an does CIG do FOMO sales work for Star Citizen?
Yeah, because it worked on me.
Okay.
It worked on me. I bought an Orion. I'm a solo singular man in the game. I bought an Orion. Think about that. I bought an Orion because I like that ship. That ship speaks to me. I call it Ugly Betty. She churns out money. In my opinion. And again, and guess what? It's not even in the game yet. It is so far down the line that I have built up an imagination about what this ship does that I said I got to have it. And guess what? I came and I'll give this background too in a little bit. Okay. I came from being a person who thought Star Citizen
Was a scam.
was a yeah.
Yeah.
Because I came from I played a lot of Asian MMOs where they were like Blade and Soul, right, pay to win.
Black
So
Desert.
I've seen it. I've seen it. You know, but until I learned, you know, what Star Citizen really is, then it made sense and clicked to me. But then when I got into it, I'm a part of that club that everybody says they're part of, but doesn't want to say they're part of. Starts with a C, you know, because you know how much money you got to spend to really to get into that club. So I look back at it and I'm like, damn, I spent a lot of money. You know what that could have did? You know how many hamburgers and sandwiches that is? Like
how many vacations? How many vacations?
Exactly. Do you realize how many? Exactly. Like me and my dad, we joke about this sometimes, but you know, it's money to burn. It is what it is. I have no whatever. I spent it. I spent it. I have come to peace that you know what I spent it. It is what it is, and I had to realize.
Let me ask you a question. Would you now, with what you know about the way the game and the structure is now, would you buy the Orion now, or would you wait, or would you say I'll buy it later?
You know what, Griff? I'm gonna be a fool and say, you know what, I still would buy it.
Okay.
Just because I like the ship.
Okay.
I would still buy the BMM. I would still buy it.
I still would buy it because I just like the way what it does and way it looks, and it just speaks to me. That's why I say it. Yeah, CIG didn't put on over top of this. Hey man, limited to the buy, but that's what it did. It triggered that, and that's why I say marketing has that byproduct of that. You know, so.
Hey Paul, I got a question for you.
Sure.
Do you think price increases are a form of FOMO?
Ooh.
Some of us remember when the BMM was $200.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Remember when the 600i or the 890 was $600?
I think it can be, but I also remember that CIG at the very beginning had always said that the prices are going to go up, that everything was cheapest early on, and that is definitely.
If you were around to hear that, though,
around to hear that, that's true. But I mean, to a degree, there comes to a point where you are responsible for your own actions, and research is one of those things that people should do before purchasing anything. People don't always do that, but you kind of need to, like, you know, you invest in something like, you know, you go get hyped up and you invest in a cryptocurrency, and then someone rug pulls you.
Right.
Is it the person who rug pulls you is definitely at fault, but if you did zero research into it, and that person had done multiple rug pulls, who's at fault? Like, are you not to blame partially for your own actions? So that at a certain point, it's like, you know, you still need to be informed about what the game is and that kind of stuff.
I agree.
But I agree that it can be, and it can be utilized as that, especially when CIG doesn't give heads up. And that's
so hold on, fast card.
So
hold on, fast card. Okay. I'm taking over the show. All right, Paul. Your prediction.
It's Black History Month. Go ahead.
Your prediction, Paul. Your prediction. what ship right now is definitely going to increase in value, probably in a substantial way, out of all the ships that are out there right now? If there's some ship that right now, if you get it now, you'll like the Carrack, for example, it jumped up. The Orion went up.
The answer is yes. All of them will.
No, I'm not talking about because of the general increase. I'm talking about some ship that because of design, scale, or role, it is going to jump.
All right. I don't have my cultist robes around anymore, but I'd put them on for this answer because it's the Endeavor.
I know what the answer is.
The Endeavor.
Yeah.
Okay.
As a card carrying member of the cult of the Endeavor, I have seen that people are sleeping on the Endeavor massively because CIG
Griffin,
and it's. Go ahead.
You weren't even finished with the question, and I was typing Endeavor in my notes so I can remember it. So yeah.
It's the joke that the Inforunners like to say that it's the ship that keeps John Crew and the ship team up thinking late at night how the hell they're going to do this, because they created a fun little idea of a ship and then they've now realized that holy shit, this is the game. This ship is the game. The Endeavor is Star Citizen the ship. And so it's like, how are we going to build a ship that's designed to do everything of the game at once?
Okay, so it's my turn to take over.
Go ahead.
Paul, how much you think the Endeavor price will be?
$900.
Actually, 900.
$900 base.
I'm thinking 950, 975.
I think it's 900 base, and I also don't think that the expansions will, like the stuff that goes on to them, I don't think they're going to go up in price. I think they're just going to increase the base price to 900.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking 950, 975.
Because the current like do it all price, like if you get everything, it's like $800, $900.
Yeah, right now.
Yeah, because right now it's about the same price as a Starfarer, I want to say. It's like $300.
$250. No, it's $10 more than the Starfarer Gemini.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And yes, you can buy the Retaliator modules in game. So. But yeah, so that's a good example. But there's lots of ships like that. But the question I've always had, like the question back, is the Endeavor's price increase an example of FOMO, or is it an example of CIG going, "Oh God, what have we done?"
At this point, I don't think you could say the Endeavor is FOMO because it's such an old ship and it's been at the same price for years now. I don't think that qualifies as FOMO for that specific example. But I will say, to Griffin's point, game starter packages are $45. But, CIG has said that, they used to be $20 back in the day, but now they're $45. And now we anticipate them being $60 or $70 when the game actually is released. So is that FOMO?
Yeah. And what Cupan's saying is like what you're saying, what you're saying, Paul, is buy an Endeavor now. I am, but that's also FOMO.
Yes.
That's the thing. If you get a $15 upgrade or a $10 upgrade to an Endeavor from another ship, is it a good value? 100%, I believe, is going to be a good value. But does CIG intentionally going, yes, we're going to get $10 from every citizen to do this and wait for it, or like?
Well, I mean, it's not just $10 because the $10 for the CCU now,
and then you have to pay the $250.
You have to pay to get up to the Gemini later.
But wouldn't that also be bad for CIG because now they're making less money because now they're only allowing you to only make $250, not the $900 when it comes out? Go ahead, Fist. Sorry.
I got a question for everybody.
Take over.
We talked about right. So if like we talked about the business model, if CIG continues to still sell ships and you can still buy the ships in game, what if CIG makes these ships so astronomically expensive in game that you would have to go and buy them? How do you feel about that?
I don't think they'll do that. They're not going to do that.
I don't think they will.
It would kill the game.
I think,
and astronomically expensive is what do you consider astronomically expensive? Because Chris gave a good example back in the day of what the scale and pricings of ships would be, and he kind of used the analogy of like real world naval ships and talked about how they get into the billions of dollars. And I know sometimes we try to encourage people not to look at the quote unquote economy we have now in any way as being the final economy in this game. So it's hard to say what the ship prices are going to be later on. You know, people screamed about the increases that they just did recently. Those ships are going to go up much higher than that.
Mhm.
You know,
Right.
they want some
I,
longevity of play. They don't want you playing a week and you're able to get a freaking, Polaris,
Of
Um,
course. Right.
but they also don't want it to make it where the grind is so bad, right? That you just get disenchanted. Some
That's
ships
where
are org ships. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny. They for them to make it so that you can grind for a Kraken as a solo person, unless you want to torture yourself that way, you're that type of masochist, then that's fine. But that ship is not designed for that. I mean, to me, it should be
right.
a price that if you want to do it, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? But if you want to say some friends get together and combine, that's more reasonable. But if you want to tell me, oh, we should be able to grind for a Kraken in a week, man, nah, forget that. No, it
Mhm.
shouldn't
back in
happen.
the days of 10 for the Chairman, I tried looking for the video because I doing some research for a Soul Citizen show and I couldn't find it, so I don't know the exact episode or exact date. But Chris Roberts said he expects a new player starting from zero to earn a constellation in 2 weeks if they play just a typical amount of game time per day. So that's what he said back then.
And I
Who knows
believe
what it's like this year.
he didn't define it, but the way I've always interpreted that is 4 hours a day, 7
Right.
days a week.
He didn't say that, right?
But he didn't say that. So if you're saying 4 hours a day, 7 days a week, that's I can't math
Yeah,
in my
but
head
doing
right now.
what though?
28
Yeah, 28. So that would be 40
times 2, 50.
Yeah,
Yeah, 50. Yeah, 6.
56. So 56. It'd be 56 hours of gameplay. And let's be honest, how many games are 56 hours?
Yeah,
Like that's a
Yeah.
lot of gameplay time. Like that's a
is.
solid gameplay
one
time for
focused thing.
an
Mhm.
RPG. It's 58
Mhm.
hours. So,
Mhm.
um, you know, for an MMO player, that's like Tuesday. But
Yeah.
You
ain't
A
lying.
gold farmer. That's a typical
Yeah.
Monday for a gold farmer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's maybe a little more pricey or a little bit more time than it takes for your typical WoW player to complete the entirety of a new WoW expansion. So
Pretty much.
Okay.
all right. I think we have a good kind of grasp on this. Like I've my personal sort of take on this is I think that the CIG's practices of FOMO are actually hurting them more than helping them. And I think that if they diversified some of these, I don't think all of these are FOMO. I think CIG is far too concerned about being seen as participating in FOMO and in pay to win practices to actually go full bore. Because if they went full bore, they'd make more money. But I also think if they decided to pull it all out, they'd make more money too. I think they're in the situation that a lot of humans are, which is it works. This is working. Why are we going to change what's working? Because if we change what's working, it might not work, and then we'll lose money. Let's not change what's working. Let's focus on what makes sense. So.
Okay.
All right, so I just want to say, it feels like we're about to go intermission for our radio
Yes.
reenactment of They Go Insane. So people stay tuned.
Well, I was gonna say you did have my my curiosity, but now you have my attention, Fastcart. With that, thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out. Make sure you check out Soul Citizens on YouTube and Twitch. Make sure you check out Fastcart anywhere else in the Star Citizen community because he just is there, as well as Soul Citizens. And check out New Soul on YouTube and what was the other Twitch.
He's on Twitch too.
Twitch. Yep.
Yeah.
On Twitch. Yeah.
New Soul
I
Sound.
stream every now and again. Like you might catch me doing a little bit of a Star Citizen or something. Recently did a 4-hour DJ set for New Year's Eve. So, not really on there as much, but you might catch me every now and again.
Awesome.
On there doing basically that.
And of course, if you enjoyed this, make sure you join us live at twitch.tv/theastropub. And for now, youtube.com/theastropub live, where you can come join us live at 4 p.m. Pacific, or 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, where we you come in and ask your own questions for the question and answer session, the After Dark section that we're going to have a little bit
Oh
later.
my.
Yeah. But until then, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for watching. Remember, if you're watching this after the fact, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, hit the bell icon to be notified when these release. And if you're on Spotify, make sure you follow the podcast. And like I always say, hope to see you someday in the black.